From chemical tricks to visual illusions, from jets of blood to camouflage fortresses, each of the 13 strategies reveals how the animal kingdom transforms survival into pure ingenuity. Tiny and giant creatures alike prove that defense is creativity. Toxins, mimicry, armor, unpredictable escapes, and even environmental manipulation. A world where every threat awakens an extraordinary solution. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now, let's get started. Number 13. The Ink Shield of the Mimicking Octopus. Among the most impressive defenses nature has ever produced, few are as ingenious as the evasive system of the mimic octopus, Thaumoctopus mimicus. Found in Indo-Pacific reefs, this animal combines extreme camouflage, behavioral manipulation, advanced intelligence, and a nearly mythical resource, the calculated use of ink as a visual, chemical, and psychological shield. The strategy, which at first seems simple, hides a complex evolutionary architecture built over millions of years and involves a series of coordinated actions that turn the octopus into a true masterpiece of biological defense. Unlike many octopuses that simply release ink when threatened, the mimic octopus uses the substance as part of a complete illusion package articulated with changes in color, texture, body pattern, and movements that mimic lionfish, sea snakes, venomous flatfish, stingrays, and even waving corals. It doesn't just try to disappear, it actively manipulates the predator's perception, making it believe that the creature before it is a completely different animal, or even several different animals depending on the situation. The ink becomes the final piece of this performance, a kind of curtain that hides the transition between one form and another, allowing the octopus to alter its appearance while the enemy is visually disoriented. The ink's composition, rich in melanin and mucus, creates a dense cloud that interferes with the predator's vision and chemical senses. But the mimic octopus goes further. It calculates the direction of the current and releases the cloud so that it acts as an opaque barrier floating between itself and the attacker. At the same time, it begins its metamorphosis. When the cloud disperses, the predator no longer sees the same individual, but something completely different. A striped snakefish, a creeping flatfish, or even a black and white banded sea snake, a form particularly effective at discouraging larger predators. This strategy works because each imitation has been refined to trigger deep instinctive caution. In the case of the sea snake, it is one of the most dangerous animals in the ocean. The octopus stretches 2 arms, hides the other 6, changes its color pattern, and slithers convincingly. The ink allows the shapeshift without revealing the transition. The predator sees only the final result, which is usually enough to make it retreat. Scientists observing the mimic octopus in action notice that it chooses the type of imitation according to the threat. Predators that attack quickly and directly receive an ink curtain, followed by an instantaneous disappearance into coral crevices. Larger but more cautious predators are confronted with imitations of toxic or dangerous animals. Predators that rely on visual contrast, such as barracudas, encounter extremely dense ink clouds that break into ghost blobs, small clusters of mucus shaped like miniature octopuses. This confuses the aggressor, making it strike at false targets while the real octopus escapes silently. Another fascinating point is that the mimic octopus never wastes ink. The substance is metabolically costly, and the animal uses it only in critical moments. For this reason, every release is combined with movements that maximize the cloud's effect. Often the octopus pauses for half a second after releasing the ink. It knows that moving too quickly could give away its position. Then, when the curtain is fully formed, it glides across the sandy bottom without lifting particles or creating a detectable silhouette. Fine motor control, paired with spatial intelligence, makes its escape almost perfect. The defense of the mimic octopus, although based on ink, goes far beyond a simple concealment mechanism. It represents the union of multiple layers of deception: chemical, visual, behavioral, and strategic. It is the ultimate example of how a relatively fragile species evolved extraordinary solutions to survive in an environment dominated by far stronger predators. Its tactic is not to fight, but to control the enemy's perception, making it hesitate or give up entirely. In every encounter, the octopus demonstrates that ocean survival requires not brute strength, but the ability to manipulate information and create alternative realities inside the minds of its adversaries. By combining ink, imitation, intelligence, and situational analysis, the mimic octopus earns a place among the most incredible strategies in the animal kingdom. It doesn't just hide, it creates illusions. It doesn't just escape, it changes identity, and in doing so, it redefines the concept of natural defense, proving that evolution can produce solutions as sophisticated as any human invention. Number 12. The chemical armor of the bombardier beetle. Within the vast arsenal of defenses developed on Earth, few are as astonishing as the explosive reaction of the bombardier beetle. Brachinus spp. This tiny, seemingly fragile creature masters a strategy that combines advanced chemistry, thermal precision, and microscopic muscular control. Its defense has become so famous that even engineers study the mechanism to inspire industrial technologies. What many don't realize is that this process is not only a way to repel predators, but also an extremely sophisticated, integrated defense built upon meticulous evolutionary calculations. Its extraordinary protection is based on a two-chamber internal chemical system. In one chamber, the beetle stores hydrogen peroxide and hydroquinone. In the other, powerful enzymes such as catalases and peroxidases. Separately, these compounds are harmless. Mixed together, however, they trigger an explosive reaction capable of reaching temperatures above 100 degrees Celsius. The beetle controls the release of each ingredient like an expert chemist, modulating the intensity of the hot jet using muscles that compress the chemical chambers alternately, producing a series of microexplosions. These microexplosions, emitted in extremely fast pulses, create a hot spray expelled through a flexible opening at the tip of the abdomen. The beetle can rotate this opening almost 360 degrees, allowing it to fire the chemical jet in any direction. This gives it an advantage against agile predators such as spiders, amphibians, and even small lizards. Even more impressive is the beetle's ability to choose between one strong explosion or a series of short bursts, adapting the strategy to the type of attack. If the predator is persistent, the jet intensifies. If it is quick, the beetle releases multiple pulses, forcing the enemy to retreat. The defense doesn't rely solely on chemistry, it is integrated with behavior. When threatened, the beetle initiates a series of movements that increase the internal pressure of the chemical chambers. Abdominal muscles contract and relax in sequence, activating the reaction with precision. The beetle tilts its body, regulates the opening of the emitter nozzle, and waits for the perfect moment to launch the scalding spray. The fine coordination of this process involves receptors sensitive to heat and air displacement, helping the insect maintain balance while firing. The beetle also benefits from a natural shield formed by its rigid exoskeleton. During internal microexplosions, the structure prevents heat and pressure waves from returning toward the body, acting as a highly efficient thermal shield. Studies show that the exoskeleton is composed of extremely resistant layers that dissipate heat before it reaches internal tissues. This structure evolved alongside the chemical system, ensuring that the explosive defense remained powerful yet safe for the beetle itself. The chemical strategy also has a strong psychological effect. Many predators learn to avoid the bombardier beetle after just one encounter with the hot, irritating spray. Spiders, for example, immediately release the beetle from their webs and back away. Amphibians, which rely on sticky tongues to capture prey, feel the chemical impact and abandon the attack. Small lizards, upon sensing the characteristic smell released before the jet, often move away without risking direct contact. The chemical reaction also produces vapor and sound, creating an audible popping noise that serves as a warning to other predators in the area. Thus, the beetle not only defends itself, but also shapes the behavior of species around it. In regions where the insect is common, predators develop visual aversion to its form, a kind of collective ecological memory. Another intriguing aspect is thermal precision. Despite the extreme jet temperatures, the beetle keeps the reaction under control, never surpassing limits that could rupture its exoskeleton. This is possible because the rapid pulses, rather than a continuous explosion, allow heat dissipation between bursts. Each shot is a carefully measured microblast. This natural technology has inspired research in combustion engineering, microturbines, and even anti-lock systems. In the end, the bombardier beetle's defense reveals a deep truth about evolution. Size does not define power. The combination of advanced chemistry, biomechanical precision, and adaptive behavior turns a tiny insect into one of the most impressive defensive machines in the animal kingdom. Each repelled attack reinforces the system's efficiency, which has kept the species alive in environments filled with predators far larger and stronger. The bombardier beetle exemplifies how nature can create solutions as extreme as they are ingenious, uniting biology, chemistry, and physics in a single creature. Its chemical armor is a true masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, placing it among the most extraordinary defensive strategies ever observed in any living organism. Number 11. The living armor of the three-banded armadillo. Among all defenses developed by wildlife, few are as iconic as the ability of the three-banded armadillo, Talapotes tricinctus and T. maticus, to transform itself into a perfect sphere. Unlike other armadillos which merely curl up and leave vulnerable gaps, this species closes its body completely, like an impenetrable capsule. This transformation is not just a defensive posture, but a highly specialized strategy shaped by evolution to create a living, articulated, functional armor. The secret behind this unique ability lies in its highly flexible shell, formed by bony plates called osteoderms. These plates are arranged in movable segments, connected by strong ligaments and thick skin. When threatened, the armadillo activates a series of synchronized muscle contractions that bring the front and back portions of the body together, closing like two airtight lids. The force of this closure is astonishing. Even large predators like jaguars struggle to pry open the living ball. What is most fascinating is that this defense does not rely solely on the outer shell. It involves a series of internal adaptations. The ribs, for instance, are elongated and arched to provide structural support when the animal closes itself. Many abdominal muscles exist not for locomotion, but to ensure the locking mechanism during the defensive posture. The entire body has been evolutionarily sculpted to allow this singular transformation. A predator attacking a three-banded armadillo encounters a curved, hard surface with no points of leverage. No limbs are exposed, no head is visible, and no soft parts are accessible. The rounded shape causes bites to slide off, reducing the efficiency of the attack. The geometric design is so well refined that in many cases the armadillo simply needs to wait until the predator loses interest. But the armadillo does not rely solely on its armor. Its defense is part of a broader system of vigilance and sensitivity. It perceives ground vibrations, faint sounds, and environmental changes, allowing it to anticipate attacks. At the slightest sign of danger, it enters high alert and closes instantly. The speed of this process is so great that predators rarely reach it before the ball is complete. Another interesting point is that this spherical defense also helps in situations not directly related to predators. In dry environments, such as Brazil's Caatinga, where the species is native, the posture reduces water loss by evaporation, functioning as protection against extreme heat. It also blocks the entry of parasitic insects. The armor therefore serves as physical, thermal, and ecological protection all at once. Despite its effectiveness, the strategy has limitations. The three-banded armadillo cannot run fast like other armadillos because its body structure is optimized for defense rather than speed. This makes it heavily dependent on its armor and early threat detection. In natural environments, this works extremely well. However, against unnatural threats, such as domestic dogs, the defense can be less effective. Even so, its design remains one of the most elaborate in the animal kingdom. From an evolutionary perspective, the existence of the three-banded armadillo is almost a paradox. A small animal lacking powerful claws, speed, or offensive weapons has survived for thousands of years thanks solely to the perfection of its defense. While other species invested in fleeing, camouflaging, venom, or aggression, this armadillo invested in patience and design, and nature rewarded that investment with armor so functional that it has remained virtually unchanged for ages. Biotechnology researchers study the segmented structure of the armadillo's shell for applications in flexible armor, construction materials, and foldable robotics. The resistance of the material, combined with its compactability, offers valuable insights for mechanical engineering and biomimetics. When observing a fully closed three-banded armadillo, we see more than an animal hiding. We see one of the most fascinating fusions of anatomy and behavior nature has ever developed. A defense so complete that the animal itself becomes the armor. A silent, elegant strategy that protects, isolates, resists, and ensures that even being small, the armadillo continues to survive in a world full of fast and aggressive predators. Number 10. The elastic shield of the hagfish. Among all the bizarre defenses in the animal kingdom, few compare to that of the hagfish, popularly known as the slime eel or slime fish, Myxinae spp. Its protection method does not rely on strength, speed, or venom, but on its ability to produce an absurd amount of elastic slime almost instantly, transforming the surrounding water into a sticky mass that suffocates and disorients predators. This strategy, which seems straight out of a fantasy story, is one of the most ingenious and physically complex defenses ever recorded. When a predator, usually sharks or large fish, tries to bite the hagfish, something unexpected happens. In fractions of a second, its body releases thousands thousands of microscopic protein threads called intermediate filaments, which mix with mucins to form a voluminous gel. Seawater hydrates this material and expands it up to 10,000 times its initial volume. The result is a thick cloud that fills the predator's mouth cavity, clogging its gills and temporarily disrupting its ability to breathe. Startled and unable to breathe properly, the predator immediately retreats, giving the hagfish enough time to escape. The most impressive part is that this slime is not a simple secretion, it is a highly sophisticated structural compound. The protein threads released by the hagfish are long, strong, and incredibly thin, finer than human hair, yet with resistance comparable to silk. These threads unravel as soon as they come into contact with water, creating a highly elastic three-dimensional network. This network traps water within its structure, generating a volume far greater than the amount originally produced. Furthermore, the hagfish does not release slime randomly. It has rows of slime glands along its body, and each gland contains two compartments, one with mucins and another with the coiled protein threads. When compressed by the body muscles during an attack, the glands release both materials simultaneously. The moment they meet seawater, they expand like a silent explosion, forming the slime barrier in a fraction of a second. The defense is so effective that sharks are often seen backing away immediately after contact, spitting out large amounts of slime while trying to clear their gills. This scene, repeated countless times in nature, shows how a seemingly simple strategy can neutralize large, well-adapted predators. However, the hagfish does not rely solely on its slime. It also performs an elegant and crucial movement. It ties its own body into a knot. This unique ability to knot its body serves two defensive purposes. First, it allows the animal to remove the slime that covers its own body after releasing it during an attack. Second, the knot acts as a lever, helping the hagfish escape bites and anchor itself to rocky crevices. The combination of expanding slime and body knotting turns the hagfish into a true biomechanical puzzle, capable of freeing itself from almost any situation. Another fascinating aspect is that hagfish slime does not dissolve quickly. Its structure remains cohesive long enough to prevent successive attacks. Even persistent predators lose interest after a few seconds, unable to open their eyes, breathe, or bite without getting tangled in the viscous material. This effect creates a forbidden zone around the hagfish, essentially a temporary biological shield. The hagfish also uses its slime indirectly. When feeding on carcasses at the ocean floor, its main food source, it releases small amounts of slime to deter other scavengers such as crabs and fish. This reduces competition and ensures that it has enough time to burrow into the tissues of the corpse. In biomimetics, hagfish slime attracts enormous scientific interest. Its protein threads are studied for the development of ultra-resistant, lightweight materials that could replace plastics, synthetic fibers, and even industrial textiles. Its ability to expand rapidly upon contact with water is seen as promising for non-lethal defense systems and fluid control devices. Despite its strange appearance, the hagfish represents one of evolution's greatest demonstrations of creativity. Instead of fleeing or fighting, it transforms its body into an instant slime-producing factory, using the physics of hydration to create a barrier that confuses, suffocates, and immobilizes predators. The strategy works so well that the hagfish is almost untouched by many large marine predators. It survives not by being fast or strong, but by mastering a defense found nowhere else on the planet. Thus, the elastic shield of the hagfish earns its place among the most incredible defensive strategies in the animal kingdom, a reminder that nature can be astonishing even in the strangest and most fragile-looking creatures. Number 9. The electric field of the electric eel. Among the most impressive defenses ever developed by any animal, the electric discharge of the electric eel, Electrophorus electricus and related species, holds a singular position, although many people know about its ability to produce powerful shocks. Few understand how sophisticated this system truly is, a genuine field of biological energy used for defense, navigation, communication, and environmental perception. The electric eel isn't just a fish capable of electrocuting predators, it is a living electricity machine, able to manipulate its own electric field with astonishing precision. Its defense begins with its internal anatomy. The eel possesses three main electric organs: the sax organ, the hunter organ, and the main organ. Each contains thousands of modified cells called electrocytes. These cells act like tiny biological batteries arranged in series. When the eel chooses to discharge electricity, its nerves send a signal that opens ion channels in the electrocytes' membranes, allowing ions to flow in a coordinated manner. The result is the simultaneous simultaneous release of voltage, similar to thousands of small batteries being activated at once. The eel can modulate its discharges. In calm moments, it produces weak pulses used as a kind of electric sonar. These pulses create a field around its body that deforms when it encounters objects, enabling the eel to navigate dark, muddy waters without relying on vision. When it senses suspicious movement or the approach of a predator, the eel changes the frequency and intensity of its pulses, entering a state of alert. The true power emerges when it triggers its high voltage discharge. In extreme danger, its electrocytes fire simultaneously, generating a shock that can exceed 600 volts. This energy is not released randomly. The eel directs the current using specific body movements, ensuring the shock strikes the target efficiently. Predators attempting to bite it receive the full discharge directly to the face, causing them to retreat instantly. A remarkable detail is that the eel uses its discharge strategically, not just reflexively. It can emit rapid pulses that work as a short electrical jab, strong enough to induce muscle spasms in the predator and neutralize the attack. In other situations, it releases longer bursts, true electrical explosions, and that affect wider areas of water around it. This defense does not rely solely on electricity. The eel combines its electrical ability with intelligent behavior. If a predator approaches from below, it arches its body to increase the distance between the ends of the circuit, strengthening the electric field in the predator's direction. If the threat comes from above, the eel rises partly out of the water, creating a greater potential difference between its submerged tail and exposed head. This physical trick dramatically amplifies the intensity of the discharge. Another fascinating aspect is that the eel can detect the muscle movements of other animals using only its electric field. As a predator approaches stealthily, involuntary muscle contractions distort the natural electrical environment. The eel interprets these micro variations like a biological radar, predicting attacks before it even sees the enemy. This gives it a crucial advantage in dark, murky environments where many predators depend on vision. The electric discharge also has a strong psychological effect. Predators that have previously been shocked tend to avoid the eel, recognizing its elongated shape or characteristic movement. This ecological memory reduces attack frequency and increases the species' survival. Some large fish, upon sensing the change in the eel's pulse pattern, which accelerates before a discharge, retreat instinctively without even being shocked. From an evolutionary standpoint, the eel's electrical system is one of biology's greatest wonders. It represents a rare convergence of physiology, behavior, and physics. Few animals have developed anything similar, and none do it with the power and control of the electric eel. Its defense is not just a weapon, it is a complete multisensory system combining perception, communication, and non-lethal attack. In biotechnology, researchers study the eel's electrocytes to develop biological batteries and clean energy systems inspired by these organs. The fact that the eel can generate such powerful discharges without damaging its own tissues remains one of nature's greatest energetic mysteries. The tissues surrounding the electric organs work as natural insulators, preventing the current from returning through the eel's own body. The electric eel, with its spectacular defense, proves that evolution can create solutions that exceed human imagination. Its body is simultaneously a generator, sensor, weapon, and shield. By combining electricity, electrochemical sensitivity, and strategic behavior, it stands among the most extraordinary defensive innovations in natural history. Number 8. The explosive venom of the stonefish. Among all marine creatures, few possess a defense as feared as the stonefish, Sinensaya spp. Widely considered the most venomous fish in the world, it not only carries extremely potent toxins, but also has near-perfect camouflage that turns it into part of the environment itself. Its defensive strategy combines invisibility, complete immobility, and a chemical arsenal capable of discouraging even the most adapted predators of the ocean. The stonefish built its reputation on lethality. Unlike animals that use venom offensively to capture prey, the stonefish uses its toxin almost exclusively for defense. It is slow, not aggressive, and depends entirely on its ability to disappear into the marine landscape. Because of this, its body evolved to mimic algae-covered rocks, with irregular texture, grayish coloration, and dark patches that deceive any observer. In coral environments or rocky bottoms, distinguishing a stonefish from a real stone is nearly impossible, but its camouflage is only the first layer of defense. When a predator gets too close or tries to bite it, the stonefish positions its body to expose its row of dorsal spines, true bony needles connected to venom glands. These spines are so strong that they can pierce leather, thick scales, and even diving boots. When pressured, they rise automatically, like a trap that activates without any voluntary movement. The stonefish's toxin is one of the most complex ever identified in marine vertebrates. It contains a combination of neurotoxic, cardiotoxic, and cytotoxic proteins that act simultaneously. Predators that bite it experience intense pain almost instantly, loss of muscular coordination, breathing difficulty, and partial paralysis. Although the stonefish's goal is not to kill the attacker, the toxin is so potent that attacks are interrupted before the predator fully understands what happened. Here, however, the focus is the defense strategy, not lethality itself. And the stonefish's strategy involves more than venom. It involves behavior. It remains completely still for long periods, sometimes days, relying on camouflage as its first barrier. The venom only comes into play if its safety is compromised. This minimal energy expenditure allows it to survive in environments with scarce resources and abundant predators. It is a passive defense, but incredibly efficient. Another impressive detail is that the stonefish's body is built to withstand frontal attacks without major damage. Its skin is thick and covered with hardened patches that work like natural armor. This protection allows it to survive the initial bites of curious predators, while the dorsal spines do the defensive work. In many cases, predators retreat before causing any significant injury. There is also an unexpected chemical element to the toxin. Its toxic proteins degrade quickly in water, but inside a predator they spread with surprising speed. This rapid diffusion ability is the result of millions of years of natural selection. Predators that attempted to attack the stonefish and survived the first contact most likely avoided the species in the future and passed this behavior on to the next generations. The stonefish's defensive strategy also influences its ecological role. Because it is practically untouchable to most predators, its presence affects the competitive dynamics of other fish species. It occupies strategic territories without being disturbed and alters the flow of predators, which tend to avoid areas where it usually hides. This creates micro-safe zones, changing the behavior of other marine animals that recognize its odor and silhouette. From a physical standpoint, the stonefish's venom is stored in glands connected directly to the spines. Each spine functions like a natural injector, powered not by muscular pressure, but by impact mechanics. This means the stonefish doesn't need to spend energy defending itself. Its attacker triggers the defense. This energy-saving mechanism is one of the keys to its survival in environments where competition for food is intense. The stonefish's defense is so successful that even when threatened by humans, something uncommon in the species' evolution, its strategy still works extremely well. Its appearance protects it because it is rarely noticed, and its venom protects it from any unexpected touch. Even so, the stonefish is not aggressive. It does not chase, attack, or engage. It simply defends itself with near absolute efficiency. Researchers have studied the properties of its venom for biomedical purposes. Although extremely painful, the toxin contains components promising for creating analgesics, anticoagulants, and cardiovascular treatments. The structure of its spines also inspires the development of medical devices and piercing tools that release substances at controlled depths. In the end, the stonefish represents the extreme of chemical defense combined with camouflage. Its body is a living rock, its spines, evolved needles, and its venom, a biochemical explosion that discourages any attack. It does not flee, fight, or intimidate, only waits, invisible and still, until evolution does its job, and nature has done so. The stonefish has become one of the best defended creatures in the ocean, a master of concealment and passive self-protection. Number 7. Toxic reflex. Some animals have developed the ability to display intense colors to warn predators that they are dangerous. This behavior, called aposematism, works as a universal signal in the animal kingdom. Bright colors mean danger. Poisonous frogs, stinging caterpillars, and toxic insects use this visual warning to prevent attacks before they even occur. The simple combination of vibrant colors already discourages experienced predators who learn to associate such patterns with previous bad experiences. This defense is extremely efficient because it works preventively, reducing the need to fight or flee. Additionally, some harmless species imitate these colors to gain extra protection. Thus, toxic reflex not only protects animals that truly possess toxins, but also influences the entire evolutionary dynamics of forests, jungles, and even marine ecosystems. Number 6. The blood-squirting lizard. The Texas horned lizard has one of the strangest defenses on the planet. It can shoot jets of blood from the corners of its eyes when threatened. This behavior confuses predators and carries substances with an unpleasant odor to certain carnivores. Although it seems extreme, the act causes no real harm to the animal. It is merely the controlled release of blood pressure around the eye region. Besides the blood jet, the lizard also uses camouflage and remains still, mimicking rocks. This combination of passive visual strategy and unusual active defense makes it one of the most surprising reptiles in North America. The ability evolved precisely because it serves as a last resort defense when fleeing or hiding fails. In this way, the blood-squirting lizard gains additional survival chances in environments with fast, fierce predators. Number 5. Castle crab. This coastal crab has an ingenious instinct. It stacks sediment, shells, and fragments of the environment on its body to create a sort of mobile fortress. The goal is to break visual recognition by predators, making it difficult to distinguish the animal from its surroundings. When threatened, it reinforces the castle and remains motionless, relying entirely on camouflage. This behavior requires skill and environmental memory because the crab selects materials that match the color and texture of the location. The strategy is so efficient that many fish and bird species pass by without seeing it. The method functions as a passive shield, reducing the need to flee. Furthermore, the construction adapts as the environment changes, showing an impressive capacity for daily defensive updates. Number 4. Spiral escape. Some small mammals, such as hares and young antelopes, use a highly unpredictable running technique to evade predators: spiral escape. Instead of running in a straight line, which would be easily intercepted by fast carnivores, they change directions abruptly, creating curved or helical paths. This movement confuses predators because it makes interception calculations difficult. Additionally, this strategy takes advantage of agility differences. Smaller animals can make sudden turns impossible for larger hunters such as wolves or leopards. This ability emerges early, being practiced since they are juveniles, which contributes to high survival rates. Spiral escape is simple but extremely effective, showing how speed combined with unpredictability can be a powerful natural weapon. Number 3. Armor fish. Some fish have developed robust bony plates that work as true natural armor. These structures are made of modified scales, rigidly interconnected, protecting the body against bites and punctures. Species such as the leatherjack and the banded tecklid use this defense to survive environments with larger predators. Although the plates make the animal heavier and reduce mobility, they offer a major advantage in areas with frequent frontal attacks. Furthermore, the armor evolved alongside coloration patterns that help with camouflage. This combination of physical protection and visual strategy makes the fish an unattractive target for predators that prefer easier prey. Thus, the defense works preventively and mechanically, reducing risks without requiring complex behavior. Number 2. Fire slug. Some sea slugs possess glands capable of releasing highly irritating chemical substances when attacked. These secretions create an intense reaction upon contact, similar to a mild burn, discouraging fish and crustaceans. Their defense is reinforced by bright colors that warn of toxicity. In some cases, these slugs incorporate toxins from their prey, storing them in their bodies for self-defense. This form of chemical defense is extremely efficient because it deters predators even after brief contact. Moreover, the evolutionary ability shows how slow species can compensate for lack of speed with powerful biological compounds. The combination of defensive chemistry and visual warning results in one of the most impressive mechanisms in the marine environment. Number 1. Sand wind. Some desert animals, such as lizards and small rodents, have learned to use their environment as a defensive weapon. When threatened, they kick sand toward the predator's eyes, creating a cloud that reduces visibility. This simple tactic gives them enough time to escape at high speed or hide beneath the surface. In more adapted species, the ability is refined with circular movements that increase the reach of the sand cloud. It is an especially useful defense against snakes and hunting birds. Using the environment as a defensive tool shows how even small animals can develop surprising strategies. The effectiveness relies more on timing than strength, revealing a sophisticated adaptation for survival in harsh, arid ecosystems. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Also, check out other interesting videos that are appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one. See you next time.